right, hey guys. Today is the first day of clay and we're going to be getting a pretty large block of clay from me. The only problem is this block of clay has potentially air pockets in it. So you're going to need to kind of give the block a couple whacks on the table to make sure any air pockets that might be inside go away. You can't see the air pockets and you will never know if they're there or not, but if you give it a couple taps on the table, that should cover and create fewer pockets. You'll see them too when you roll them out if there's any that might be there. You're going to just gently tap the clay, rotating the cube every so often so that your sides stay flat, and this kind of is an even way to get a good shape to roll out. In order to get clay, you of course have to show me that you have your paper template. Your name is on it, your patterns might be on the front. This is like your golden ticket to get clay. Notice also that I have newspaper out and I'm protecting my clothing with a smock. That's a good idea. You'll also need a couple other tools. You'll need a needle type tool, which I'll have in a box that's separate from the other clay tools. This is pretty sharp, so you need to be careful when you move around the room with it, and also make sure that it's not going to roll off the table. You'll need then a rolling pin, and we don't have one for every person, so this will be something you share with the person next to you. You could also share your needle tool because you won't need them that often today. So once you feel like you have tapped this on the table enough times and you have a pretty good cube going, again, you're gently tapping, you're not making a lot of noise, you're not slamming it onto the table, and then you're going to roll out your clay. It's really important that you roll a few times and flip it, and also rotate the way that you are rolling. So I'm rotating it. If you forget to flip it, it's going to get stuck into your newspaper. I'm going to put my fish kind of close by so I can see what I need for length with my clay and what I need for width. You want your clay to be on the thicker side, and I usually say about as thick as your finger. So if it's too thick, it's going to take a long time to dry out. And this looks like plenty of clay for the size fish that I have, but it's still too thick. So I'm going to keep rolling it and flipping it. Okay. Once you feel like you have a good thickness, or if you're not sure, you can ask a friend or ask me. You don't want to get too thin. Once you feel like it's a good thickness, it's about as tall as your finger, you can lay your clay, or your paper fish, onto your clay, and just like you would cut out like a cookie with a cookie cutter, you're just tracing around this. And you might cut away pieces as you go, so you can see where you've cut and where you haven't cut. It's really important to hold the tool straight up and down. Just like when you trace a stencil, it's easier to hold the pencil straight up and down rather than at an angle. If you try going at an angle, you're not going to go deep enough, and you'll actually want to feel the newspaper below you. Some people even scratch the newspaper from the table. That's actually a good way to know that you've gone deep enough. Save these pieces because you're going to practice today making patterns and textures into them. Okay, looks good. Once you have your fish shape, you can lift it up to make sure it comes off the newspaper nicely, and you can spend the rest of class practicing using some interesting tools. We have this huge bin of tools that you can use. Some are little rolling pins with ridges in them. We have unusual tools like toothbrushes. We have clay tools. We have forks. And you can practice pressing into this scrap clay, because the scrap clay is like scrap paper. You can find what you don't like. Ooh, I don't know if I like that. I like the fork. Repetition is important. We're not spelling words, we're not writing numbers, we're not making people. We're just making repeating lines and shapes, and we're pressing those lines and shapes into clay. I'm actually not going to use the toothbrush with the bristle side. I'm going to see what this looks like. Pretty neat. Try to refrain from doing anything on your fish today. I know it's tempting, but only work on the scraps. Your fish is going to go really carefully into your bag next to your partners, and you'll wrap them up airtight, ready for next class period.